Oh, hello. Sorry, I didn't have the lighting on. I apologise for that. Tonight or this evening, I thought I'd. I hope the music's not too loud. I have to have music in the background so people can't hear me. Um, Tonight, I thought I'd talk about conspiracy theories. Now, it's often said that somebody who believes in conspiracy theories is mentally ill, and as you know, I'm mentally ill. So I just wanted to discuss a few of the famous ones and how I felt about them, and just kind of see what you think about them as well. A bit interesting to know. So stick stick some messages in the comments. Um, Now some of these are off the wall, and I will actually freely confess that. Um, but some even the ones that are a bit left field, they do give you pause for thought. If you're a suspicious person, if you're paranoid, then you're going to believe in every single one of these. So, without further ado, and you can say how mad I am for some of these. I'm kind of reading them off the wall because I've got notes on the wall, so I apologise if I squint. The first one I'm going to get rid of straight away. This is an insane one. I think it's mainly American based, and it's to do with chemtrails. Now, though, what they say is the contrails of an aircraft. You see airliners, and I think it's where they're pumping out hot air and it just turns to vapor behind them and everything. And they reckon that they're full of various chemicals for whatever reason. I mean, aluminium, strontium, and barium are three of the things that they mention. And I just think that's a bit daft anyway. Why would any government want to actually poison its own people? And if it did want to poison its own people, well, there are better ways of doing it, like vaccinations. We'll talk about them in a bit. So let's just completely and utterly say that chemtrails is stupid. It's very American, and same kind of people believe in that generally believe in black helicopters and all of that rubbish. You can Google it if you want to know more. I am just going to rush through most of these. Next one is the New World Order. Now, the New World Order is a belief that it's not purely the governments that actually um, control what we do, control society. It's it is certain government figures, but a lot of these government figures apparently are put in place by the New World Order, and uh, we talk about things like the media. It's very easy for the media to manipulate um, people just by selective reporting, and like the left wing media will report totally different to the right wing media. So it's very easy to manipulate people. Um, you either get people singing along with the same hymn sheet, or you may even convert people, or sheeple as they call them. Freemasons as well. There's a big conspiracy about that, all connected with the New World Order, and apparently the Antifa is supposed to be an organisation that has been supported by the New World Order, presumably just to cause unrest amongst the people. Now I'm not sure why a New World Order would want to do that, but this conspiracy actually goes very deep if you look really in depth into it. And there's things like basically starting wars. Government will start a war. Let's talk about the second war in the Middle East, um, in Iraq. Now, there wasn't really a genuine reason why we should have gone into Iraq, and that's been proven. But by going into a war zone, creating a war, demolishing all the infrastructure, you can then give your companies in your country the contracts to rebuild that infrastructure, and then charge, say, for example, Iraq to actually rebuild it for them. So uh, uh, there's a a lyric in a Billy Bragg song. I'm not even sure if he's quoted it from somewhere else, but the lyric is "War. What is it good for? It's good for business." And you know, this is part of the New World Order. They can apparently manipulate all kinds of events, have people. Generally, one of the theories linked to this is the fact that, say, the American president, the British prime minister, they're not voted for so much by the people as they're chosen by the New World Order. So, for example, Donald Trump, you put Donald Trump up against somebody like Joe Biden, who is just a complete idiot, and basically you're going to probably skew the election so that Trump wins, and they probably want Trump in power. It's been done in this country apparently with the likes of Blair. Gaining control, and then David Cameron as well. So I'm presuming nobody with any kind of right mind chose Theresa May, but that's another thing. Right, I'm going to go on to New World Order. Look it up, because it is kind of fascinating. Am I convinced? I think the media and big business can manipulate opinions, and that's obviously been seen by things like YouTube monitoring people's content and Facebook, banning people from their platform and deplatforming and all that kind of thing. You look at that, there's a very deep conspiracy with that as well. The next one I want to talk about, everybody's favourite, UFOs. This one's been going on for 4 years, but I think it really began, I think, in the 30s and 40s with pilots spotting Foo Fighters, as they called them. Yeah, that's where the band got the name from, Foo Fighters. And they were designated as unidentified flying objects. And there was the Roswell disaster. Apparently, the Roswell crash wasn't so much a disaster, not unless you was an alien pilot in the spaceship, which people actually believe. Now, do I believe that? No. I've seen photographs of like weather balloons and everything. I think because of its location, I think the military would have gone in to recover whatever was there, just in case they might have thought it was one of their spy planes or something like that. One of the Russian spy planes, and so they would basically seal the site so nobody else can get on board. Now there's a few things about UFOs that lead me to believe that it's not a phenomenon, really. Well, unidentified flying objects definitely are. You see a plane in the sky, what the hell's that? But why would it take so long? It would genuinely take so long for a spacecraft to travel between solar systems, and we would probably end up doing it, humanity, but it'd take a long time. And why would you spend time just hanging around abducting strange people that nobody believes anyway? Actually, you'd probably likely to abduct those people more than the intelligent people. But why would they still be carrying out experiments on us? Why, in this day and age where we've all got mobile phones, why is there no more decent video evidence or even photographs? And that leads me to believe that since very decent photography has become available to virtually everybody on the planet, even in some African countries, the sightings of UFOs have kind of declined. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know. Area 51, well, that's kind of the area where the Americans are testing their new aircraft. And if you'd have seen in the 1970s the stealth fighter, which is the really angular black F-117, or the was it a B-2 bomber? If you'd have seen that in the 1970s, you would probably have gone, "What the fuck is that?" Because it was both of those aircraft were so bizarre. We're all used to them now. What else? Yeah, I've said everyone's got a phone. I this next one is going to kind of link into the UFO ones, and it's one of my favourites. It's the Ancient Aliens, and oh God, I love watching that program. The Ancient Aliens drinking game is that every time the narrator says "ancient alien theorists say," which apparently happens so many times in the show, it's unbelievable. Um, Ancient aliens. I don't know. This is not a conspiracy theory, unless you do link it to UFOs still hanging around. But ancient aliens are supposed to have appeared in things like the Bible, lots of religious texts, lots of ancient history as well. And there's a certain amount of credence in interpreting a description in the Bible written, let's say, 3-4 thousand years ago, um, and interpreting it as something more modern, a spaceman, that kind of thing. People coming down from heaven in chariots. If I let's say 500 years ago, if you'd have landed a helicopter um, outside the Vatican City, um, well, they would have wondered what the hell it was. So, so yeah, there is kind of some kind of you know credence in the ancient alien things, but there's things like the supposed technology, and it's like well, the pyramids are like an ancient power station. Well, if that's the case, and they were pretty much built by technologically advanced aliens, why is that not around? Why does it not work as a power station anymore? And why is it so basic? And would it ever have worked as a power station? I think the fact that I'm not saying conclusion about this, but the the if I was to believe in UFOs and aliens, um, this would probably be the version that would be one that I'd be inclined to lean towards. Ancient aliens, they came, they saw, they conquered, and then they left. Uh, you know, there's talk of human alien hybrids. There's we're basically descended from a cross between some prehistoric man and some little green man. I, I can't imagine how that would work out. It'd be some very strange looking people. But ancient aliens, yes, I do kind of believe that could have happened. Whether he did or not, that's another thing altogether. The next thing, false flags. Now, false flags are where the government do something, something terrible, like plant a bomb somewhere, and then blame it on a terrorist organization. Now, this has been used throughout history, and in quite complex conflicts, such as let's say in the UK, the Northern Ireland, that when the IRA would plant a bomb, they'd kind of uh, deliver a warning. That warning would be, they would say they'd delivered it within plenty of time, an hour, and the police would say, "Oh, we only got it 5 minutes before." So in a way, that's not really false flag as such, but it is like kind of twisting the truth. The government is definitely, and all of his agents are definitely capable of twisting the truth. So false flags do carry a little bit of credence, but they've got to be taken with a pinch of salt. 9/11, for example, false flag. Now, why would America come out with such a convoluted thing to do, like send missiles disguised as airplanes into the World Trade Center? I think there are some suspicious things about 9/11. And one of the key ones is that a key piece of evidence that was located after the disaster, after the towers collapsed, was that they found a passport belonging to one of the hijackers in amongst all the wreckage and rubble of the World Trade Center. But a part of me thinks that it would have been vaporized when the plane hit the tower, uh, and even if it wasn't by some miracle, wow, that is such a coincidence that they managed to find that passport in amongst all the rubble when they can't even find half the bodies. Um, so false flag, that's one false flag. 9/11, I don't kind of subscribe to that. There's a similar kind of thing about the Lockerbie, and that is more to do with the Americans apparently wanting one of their agents to be assassinated. He was on that plane. He was going to deliver some information to the media or something. So they engineered a plot with Libya. Libya wanted to bring down one of the planes, or was it Iran? And it was very convoluted and more deserving of a plot in a thriller rather than in real life. So yeah, I'm not convinced about that. The next one is the Clinton assassinations. Apparently, over the years, the Clintons have ordered the assassination of dozens of people, including most recently uh, Epstein. Um, Now, do I believe that? I believe that a powerful family certainly has the money and the power to distance themselves from somebody's death through so many layers and have somebody murdered. It's definitely possible. I won't want to say whether the Clintons have actually done that. Um, the Clintons are really insane anyway. I mean, Bill Clinton, one of the biggest liars ever to hold the office of president, and Hillary Clinton is just completely deranged now. Would would she, if she knew she could get away with it, have her political opponents and the people that have pissed her off, such as the woman that Bill had the thing for in the Oval Office? Would she, if she knew she could get away with it, have those people killed? Yes, I think she would. Is she having those people killed? It's very unlikely. Jeffrey Epstein is a complex issue as well. I've not included this in this list, but go and look at that one because that one is really dodgy as well. The There's things like the mass shootings in America, Sandy Hook, um, as well, and the Las Vegas one as well. That they either didn't happen and everybody involved in it was an actor, or they did happen, but they were allowed to happen by the left or the right, whichever you want to believe. And they're just completely and utterly insane. I'm saying that in amongst all these other conspiracy theories, some of which I believe in. Um, no, I don't. I don't believe in that. I believe that the tragedies could have been used by the media to basically turn the public against a certain political belief or agenda, but that's all about media manipulation. That I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. That is just a fact. Um, the next thing is artificial, man-made diseases or illnesses. Um, the first one to really be really come to light was AIDS, and it's got to be said if that was a genetic weapon, it was not a very good one because it indiscriminately affects anybody. You don't. They say it's a gay illness. It's not. It's said that it only affects uh, black people, Africans. It doesn't, and so if if anything, it was a very poor attempt at creating a virus. And if it was created by man, well, I hope whoever did it basically, you know, got infected himself. The coronavirus one now, people have said that the Chinese tried to weaponize it and send it out into the Western world. Now, that that is a possibility. I mean, we don't know how many people, we don't officially know how many people have been affected by coronavirus in China. Of course, if they were going to create a biological weapon and send it out to the West, they would, of course, test it on their own people before sending it out. I don't think we're at the stage where you can just have a virus that will only affect a certain demographic. But you can't just say this is only going to affect white people or this is only going to affect black people. I think that's still science fiction, but certainly they could have tested it, sent it out, and if they lock down their borders to prevent people from coming in, then it wouldn't affect their own people. I don't think it's. I think there are questions as to the figures that are quoted as well, and I think they've been overinflated. I can't think of a reason why they would be. The government would not want to shut down the economy because that would um, have really dire effects on the future. And so so I think they believe that they're doing the right thing in shutting down the economy, in shutting businesses down, in basically restricting people into where they can go and who they can meet and everything. I don't think there is obviously some conspiracy theory that you can link to that. The governments are trying to control us, and well, there are less expensive ways to do that, and so so I'm less inclined to believe that the coronavirus was created by man to affect like the West. It's not had that much of an effect in the grand scheme of things. Um, it will have cost a lot of money, but it would have gone back into China as well. So it wouldn't just affect a certain demographic, and the government is doing all that it can based on the figures that are pretty much you know being over-reported. My mum died at the start of this year. She had emphysema, COPD, and if she'd have died 3 months later, they would have put it down as a COVID death, and it wasn't a COVID death. There are so many people that are breathing their last on a lung full of air into their cancerous lungs, and that's being listed as a COVID death. So they're being overinflated. I do believe that. I can't think of a reason why anybody would want to do it, but they are. Um, you just got to do your own kind of research on that. Don't. I'm not going to put loads of links anywhere here. I think if you're interested in any of these theories that I'm talking about, you can always go off and hunt down the evidence yourself. I mean, that's better than me saying, look here, look here. These are the websites you should be looking at because I want to manipulate you. If you are interested in any of these theories, look them up yourself. Right, we've got also fluoride. Now, fluoride apparently has got so many conspiracies behind it. There's the fact that it's a mind-altering drug or mind-altering substance that was created by the Nazis, or that it's just a mind-altering drug. It placates people, calms them down. The fact that in the 1980s it was first introduced in the UK, in Northern Ireland, by Thatcher to subdue the Northern Irish population who were basically bombing and shooting each other. That's just ludicrous anyway, because I'm not sure the time scale fits as to when fluoride was first introduced into water in the UK. But that's like one of the theories. There's a fact that it's let me have a look at this one. It's a way of disposing of industrial waste. Yeah, let's just dump it all in the rivers and the reservoirs. Now, if you look at something like the thalidomide drug, which was given to mothers who were having morning sickness, and it basically messed up the fetuses, and as soon as these women started having babies that were deformed, can you say deformed? As soon as they started having these babies, then they kind of realised what the hell was going on, and they stopped giving thalidomide to pregnant women. It's still used for certain things nowadays. So what I'm trying to say is that the government or the medical profession can get things wrong, and they can also put it right. Well, something like fluoride, if they found out now that it actually caused uh, cancer, cancer of the colon, would they basically reveal that to the public? I don't think so. But if they stop giving putting fluoride in the water, then people would want to know why. So there's for me, the whole fluoride thing doesn't really hold up. It's just something that makes the water taste a bit funny, as far as I'm aware. I don't think it's helped me with my teeth because I was butchered along with lots of my young peers at primary school by the local dentist, who basically just drilled and filled every tooth that she came across. But that's another conspiracy. Um, vaccinations is a big one. But there's no real scientific evidence. There's a couple of scientists that have come out with like links to autism and everything, but it's it's the same sort of thing that I've said about other things. Why would the government want to do this to its own people, poison its own people? Um, like I say, it could be that the government knows about there are certain bad side effects to certain drugs and vaccinations, um, but unlike thalidomide, which where the benefits were certainly outweighed by the costs. So therefore, they didn't give it to pregnant women anymore. Um, Something like vaccinations, it could be that they know, yes, in certain cases it can cause autism or it can lead to death or whatever, but the benefits far outweigh the risks. The benefits to the population as a whole. So vaccinations, I mean, I'm still alive after I was vaccinated. My sons are still alive, so I think that's a load of old bollocks. Um, Next one, global warming. Um, Now, I am a global warming denier, climate change denier. Um, if you look at the pattern of the Earth's temperature, it is just like a up and down pattern, and it's been like that for hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years. So to actually presume that mankind is so powerful that within the space of 50 years it's basically overturned what nature is a bit fantastical for me to believe. I don't believe in it. I think we are just in a population rise, and I think it's just a natural consequence of the Earth's dynamics. And at the very worst, we've probably just kind of slightly increased things. Because if you look at the global warming that's happened before, there weren't massive factories and power stations pumping out uh, carbon into the atmosphere. It just kind of happens. Global warming happens naturally. So I don't believe in that one. I think I think there is some kind of conspiracy with like the New World Order and everything to try and get us to go down a certain uh, path. So yeah, global warming. Yeah, I'm on board with that conspiracy. It, this next one is kind of an interesting one. It's one of the first ones I heard of when I was a lot younger, when I was probably in my mid-teens, and it's technology suppression. Now back then it was like, oh, they've got like this engine that can run on water, but the inventor was like murdered by the petrol companies, and there is you could probably see some kind of validity in that in the electric cars. Now we're we are all being encouraged to be along with the global warming thing to be more aware of the environment, and obviously electric cars are supposedly less harmful. I mean, I don't know how damaging it is to the environment for those batteries and all those precious elements to be dug up at the earth, and I don't know whether if we all drive electric cars, whether the fact that we're going to be hooking it up to our local power point and the power station's going to be burning carbon fuels to actually power that car. I I don't know about that, but I'm losing track. The the electric car. Um, One of the theories is that they were capable of, you know, making a fully functioning petrol electric car quite a few years ago, but the petroleum companies all got together and basically prevented it because obviously they go out of business. It is interesting that for me that all of these rich Arab countries must be panicking like hell because once we stop buying petrol, once we're all driving electric cars, we're not going to need their oil. But that's another story. Um, Apparently, the perpetual motion engine that was similar to the engine running on water that I spoke about earlier, and uh, it's proven if you just Google or go on YouTube and stick in perpetual motion engines, and you'll see that they don't work. The laws of physics basically prevent it from working. You'd have to be a complete idiot to think otherwise. Um, yeah, and apparently long-lasting light bulbs they were suppressed, and yeah, you can kind of see if you create if you're capable of creating a product that's only going to need to be bought once in a person's lifetime, then you're kind of limited by the amount of units that you can sell. But if you make that device last for only 3 years, then you're going to be selling a new one every 3 years. So the light bulb thing, yeah, there's a possibility. And any reasonable businessman would think I could either charge 30 quid for a light bulb that lasts forever, or I can charge 2 quid for a light bulb that's going to last for like 6 months. Which is the best business um, you know proposition? So yeah, I think there is some suppression of technology, but eventually technology catches up and um, basically as we're seeing with electric cars. So yeah, I think there's some suppression. So that's not a massive thing. The next one is a massive conspiracy theory, one of my favourites, and it is, of course, the moon landings. The moon landings were faked. Now, much of the evidence to support the fact that the moon landings were faked has been debunked by NASA, by scientists. Um, but there are some where you still wonder. I'm not sure as if you know you can believe everything that you're told and everything that you're showed. Um, did man land on the moon? Do I think that? I don't think. I personally don't think they did, but I'll be proven wrong. All right, when China finally land on the moon and find out there's nothing there that supports the evidence that a man actually walked on the moon. If they find that the boot prints and everything, well then that that would kind of prove to me, because if they found bits of spacecraft, well, it doesn't mean to say there was anybody inside those spacecraft. One of the things is the Van Allen radiation belts. Now they kind of extend out the Earth in a kind of you got the Earth in the middle of it, in that sort of direction. It's like big ears. Yeah. So apparently they're very they've got loads of radiation and they're very damaging to humans, obviously. But the evidence to debunk the fact that could not possibly have survived going through the Van Allen belts is that the spaceships, the Apollo missions, went up through the top part of it where the belt's quite thin and there's not so much radiation, and it only took a few minutes to pass through the Van Allen belts anyway. So that's their excuse as to how that was done. And I suppose I'm not a scientist. I suppose that carries some weight. I'm a bit nonplussed as to why we haven't gone back to the moon. Apparently, there are elements there that we could mine, but it just seems that we can barely struggle to get humans orbiting the Earth 250 miles above the surface. 250 miles. Now that's not very high up. I mean, you can see the International Space Station actually whizzing its way across the sky. That's as far as we've managed to get man since. When was the last moon landing? It must have been the early 70s, 72, 73, was it? Um, so why can we only get man up that far? When you look at how big the Apollo rocket was and how much fuel it must have had in it, and it was being controlled by a very tiny computer that we've got calculators nowadays, mobile phones that have got more processing power inside them, and how did we manage to get there with men on board? So I'm still thinking that the moon landings were faked. Another side conspiracy is that they had to fake the moon landings because the camera gear didn't work, and or that kind of thing, or they faked the actual first moon landing, and the ones after were genuine. Of course, if you tell ask Neil Armstrong about this, you get a punch in the face apparently. And Buzz Aldrin as well. I think he does something similar. But yeah, so have I covered everything about that? Yeah, I think I have. It's one of my favourite theories, and the one that really kind of got me into conspiracy theories, along with JFK. I mean, the JFK one is so huge, and there are so many programs on TV about it. Every other week, there's a brand new documentary revealing compelling new evidence, and the new evidence is always, well, it was Lee Harvey Oswald that did it. Um, I've seen things where apparently they show you, and it's impossible to actually fire the gun that quickly, that many times. And then I've seen a program where a guy did it in that quickly, and apparently the bullets were not able to penetrate very deep. But I've seen them experiment where they did. They did it on a ballistic gel. The one of the things uh, that people talk about the most is the big explosion of Kennedy's head. Um, and I did watch one program about JFK, and it said that there was in the chase car behind JFK after the first couple of shots rang out, and he was hit in the throat, I think, in the shoulder, then in the throat. Um, the the Secret Service guys were getting like naturally very protective, and apparently a Secret Service guy in the chase car accidentally shot JFK in the back of the head, which with an M16, which at that sort of range, yeah, that would destroy somebody's head, an M16. So that's probably the most compelling story that I've heard about the JFK thing. And I did see it was a documentary, and it was going through all the possible scenarios, and that was the for me the most likely one. I think Lee Harvey Oswald did shoot JFK. I think if anybody else shot JFK, the Secret Service guy story carries the most weight. I think the guy was kind of invalided out of the service and was sworn to secrecy, or was very ill and didn't speak to the media or anything like that. So that's quite compelling. So I'd urge you to look up that, even if you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald did it all by himself. Didn't do it for anybody else, and there was nobody else involved. It's still quite interesting to read. Now, kind of linked with that, and I'm only going to speak about it briefly, is Marilyn Monroe. Now, Marilyn Monroe, as everybody knows, she was in a relationship with JFK. She was also at the same time in a relationship with JFK's brother. So you've got two brothers shagging the same woman, and apparently she was going to give some information to the media, and then she was found dead of a drugs overdose. And they say that Robert Kennedy actually came round to her house with the doctor, and they basically got her drunk and poisoned her. That that is possible. It kind of links in with the Clinton thing I was talking about earlier. People who are so powerful that they believe they can get away with anything, with murder. which is kind of quite ironic because both JFK and his brother were like assassinated. So what goes around comes around, eh? Do I think that Marilyn Monroe was murdered? Yeah, I kind of do. And I don't care if that makes me sound a bit daft. I definitely do believe that she was murdered. Do I believe that other famous people have been murdered? Yes, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but I do believe Elvis Presley is still alive. No, Adolf Hitler. No. Some of them are just a bit too bizarre. I'll actually at one time I will talk about the Adolf Hitler one because that's kind of interesting. There's so much information in that, but kind of a bit of a specialist. Not because I'm a white supremacist, but because I write alternative history books. So there you go. The final one I'm going to talk about, and I've been talking for 40 minutes. The final one is probably the most ludicrous one of all because, well, I'll just tell you what it is. It's the the Earth is flat. The flat Earth people, and I just okay. We used to believe the Earth was flat. Apparently, a few hundred years ago. Then somebody proved it was a globe, a sphere. See that this always gets me. one one of the things where you go, maybe it is flat. Is that the the scientists will tell you, who's that one? Brian Cox. The Earth is round. It's not flat. Well, let me. This this is 10 pence piece. It's round, but it's also flat. Um, the Earth is a sphere. That's what they should be saying. The Earth is a sphere. Um, but the Earth, why 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 would anybody hide the fact that the Earth was flat? If it was flat, NASA would say, "Hey, look at this. We've photographed underneath the Earth, and it's like just like we can see weeds growing out the bottom of it." That what apparently there's so many people that are in on this conspiracy that it's even more ludicrous than the moon landings. And yes, I know I did say that I do actually believe in the moon landings, but I'm talking about the number of people that would have to be involved in covering it up. So yeah, the flat Earth. By all means, I would recommend going out and you know researching the flat Earth and that. While you're at it, look at the hollow Earth and the Nazis and the reptilian people that live in the hollow Earth, because that's all just as ludicrous. The Apparently there are Nazis living on the moon. This the flat Earth one is the one that makes us all of conspiracy theories seem like we're just mentally ill, and I am mentally ill. And you know what? I'm gonna sign off there now. If you can think of any more, stick them in the comments. But yeah, I hope that I don't sound too crazy. Um, but there are some conspiracy theories that I do believe in. Um, if I think of any more, I'll do them in another show. How many days have I been sober? I think it's about 130 now, 130 days, um, which I think is pretty good. That's like it's well, it's about a third of a year, just over a third of a year. So I feel really good. I feel really smug. I always say this at the end of a video when I'm talking about the fact that I'm sober. Mentally, I'm still a lot stronger. I still obviously have blips where um where I have problems in dealing with situations and everything. I still don't like walking the dog when I know there are people out because I walk in a clockwise direction around the village, and if someone's walking towards me, walking their dog, I'm wondering why they're doing that. I mean, I suppose they could be walking clockwise, but on a different loop. But yeah, so there are certain things that kind of trigger me as well, and it's difficult to maintain a lid on it sometimes. But I'm doing my best. Um, my support network is understanding as they can be. When faced with some of my troubles. But yeah, I'm if I am being triggered, it's not affecting me to the same degree as it would have done if I'd have been drinking, because um, alcohol obviously makes people very, very emotional, emotionally uncontrolled as well, and also the drugs that you take don't work. So the drugs do work. I have to say, I'm on. I don't know if I've told you this, probably not recently, but I'm on sertraline and quetiapine, amongst other things. But they are the two drugs that I'm taking for the mental health issues, and I think to a large degree they're working, and not drinking is working. So yeah, to all the people that are probably still doubting that I will be teetotal for the rest of my life, well, all I can say is, if you can manage to stop drinking for 130 days, do it, and then come up to me and tell me how easy it was, because I'm finding it actually very, very easy. And that's what's making me feel smug. The fact that I'm finding it very, very easy not to drink. There are things that concern me, and it's things like the idea that I've kind of lost a certain part of my personality. If if I during the lockdown, obviously I've not been out with my mates or anything, but could what kind of relationship am I going to have with my friends if I go out for a night with them and I'm drinking Coke and they're drinking beer? Am I going to be boring? Am I going to be bored? So I'm kind of worried about certain things like that. I've not had to deal with that yet, but I'm just I mean, like like most people in life, I've had things that have stressed me out over the last 130 days, and not once have I actually um, looked at that bottle that's on the wall. It's a bottle of Grant's whiskey. Not once have I looked at that optic and thought, I really want to drink that. And I look at it sometimes and just think, wow, like I haven't touched alcohol for like 130 days. I think it's about 130. So it's a lot anyway. It's a lot. But right, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you for listening. Sorry for wasting 50 minutes of your time. I know that time's quite precious. I used to present a radio show. I'm going to do an audition tape for a radio station, internet radio station. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to play 3 songs. I'm going to do it in a classic rock style. I'm going to open with The Doors and Roadhouse Blues, which I think is a fantastic song. I'm going to play a bit of Status Quo. My favourite Status Quo song, which is Caroline. Um, I've never had sex with anybody called Caroline. That's um, and I'm going to close with the Bachman Turner Overdrive. And I know what you're thinking. You ain't seen nothing yet, but no, I'm going to close with their song "Taking Care of Business," which is a fantastic song. It's all about being a lazy person who is an artist rather than somebody who goes and works for a living, which kind of is what my life is like. But yeah, hopefully I might not even get the gig, but if I do, I'll put a link in here, or I might even broadcast one of the shows on here. But yeah, I'm keeping you for too long. Thank you for watching. Almost 50 minutes. God, I can talk. Can't I talk? I'm actually a really shy person. You wouldn't guess, would you? But I'm going to sign off now. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to do a video next week, because I might not do it, because I'm quite unreliable now. But anyway, I'm happy. I'm sober, and I'm looking forward to the future. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Stay safe. If you do believe that more people are dying of COVID, etc. I will talk about face masks next time. But I will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and yeah, enjoy life.